Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so last night, Willem told us about his childhood. It was a rough one. Rampant rejection issues, bullying, and then het bietjie die gevat, bietjie vroeg. And so tonight, the story continues. He's going to be telling us because he has extensive experience in this field. Where were you when you took up your first cigarette?
First cigarette. Okay. What happened was, it was weekend on the farm, lekker Vrydag aand, almal kap 'n branna en 'n wyntjie en what, I was 10 years old there out. And anyways, ons familie het gelaik van board games en goed, almal het fingerboard gespeel. But that time, as you remember last night, I said I'm a 11-year laat lammetjie. So my brother and my stepsister and everyone was smoking scallum at that time. They were in high school. So they were hiding their cigarettes underneath the fingerboard. And I picked up on this. So I started stealing their cigarettes. And they couldn't bust me because they were also smoking scallum, you know. And to be honest, they never expected it. They just thought they lost it or whatever. They didn't really know it was me. But then I would steal these long, you know, those Craven A Chinese, those menthols, 120 Craven A. Yeah, and then I smoke about 3 days on one of those cigarettes. Hey?
Jy word lid om te rook terwyl jy rook, daai's.
Ja, dan kom jy oor dit en dan gaan jy aan en dan word jy weer naar en ja, like I say, it took me about 3 days to finish one of them okies, but I did it. So yeah, that was my first exposure to you know, smoking. So what I would do is I would wait. I stole the cigarettes from under the fingerboard en nou het almal lekker gekuier and then they would go pass out and nou is dit my beurt om bietjie te party. So dan vat ek nou my sigaretjie en dan gaan ek kamer toe en dan het ek nou so 'n dollop of toothpaste on my finger because it tastes like kak. You don't like it, but you force yourself. That's the weird thing about all these things. Anyways, and a little glass of milk because it's just to wash it down. En dan light 'n guy ouetjie en dan vang ek 'n paar puffs en dan eers dan draai jou kop nee en dan drink jy jou melkies en jy vang jou tandepasta en jy spuit jou spuitgoed en dan het jy so 'n stukkie van daai hele sigaret gerook. Alright. Maar jy's cool nou. Nou is jy die man. Nou kyk jy daai flip en net movies met ja. Ek is nou dieselfde as daai ouens, jy weet. Maar jy's 10 jaar oud, jy het nie 'n klou wat om jou aangaan nie. Verstaan, jy het nou net eintlik iets gedoen wat op 'n toddler's or a kid's body, it's not healthy, it's not good. Not just for the lungs, but for the brain as well, because nicotine sends your system into an overdrive. It sends you into an adrenaline rush. It increases your heart rate. It increases your adrenaline. It forces you to rush. And as an ADHD child, that just increases all the mental things going on. Jy weet, dan word jou hele brein 'n wasmasjien.
I just want to reiterate, what was the age? How old were you?
I was around about 10. Ek was so standaard 3 se kant.
10. Okay, so Robin, 10.
Yeah. Between 8 and 10, you know, one thing I must tell you guys, and that's also I wanted my sponsor here is guys that suffer from addiction, recovering addicts. When you have consumed copious amounts of substances over years and years of abuse, your brain takes a hit, it takes a shot. And the most dominant symptom or side effect is short-term memory loss. So you will find that most of your addicts have a crappy memory, about 2 days and it's lost. You know, so for us, we start living in papier. You write it all down. Any thought you have to write it down because it's lost. So don't do drugs. Smoking at the age of between 8 and 10, you know, like I said, we started digressing with a memory problem. But yeah, so I started smoking then. And I started smoking purely out of curiosity, wanting to be cool. And it's a cliche, but like I said last night, cliches are cliches for reasons. Because it's recurring actions. It's happening all the time. Okay. Craven A 120s was strong. Ek sê vir jou, daai goed was die gearlever van 'n John Deere trekker. Daai ding is vrek sterk. Ja, it kicked the mule for sure. That's why it took me like 3 days that time to finish it. and I nearly chunned it every time, but I still forced myself. That shows you how your mind gets wired, that physically your body's rejecting this thing, but mentally you're forcing yourself to do it. Why does that happen in the mind? Why does that happen in the psyche? Where's the root of that? What is the cause?
Why would you do something when your body is rejecting it? You don't, you don't really want it, but you continue doing it. What do you guys
Like any addiction. And then one cigarette in 3 days became one cigarette a day, and then eventually, you end up with a pack or two a day, and so gaat hy on. To escape, yes. To become what you think the world wants you to be. Because you see this in movies, you see this in your older siblings, you see it in your parents, you see it in everyone, so this must be acceptable. This is what you do if you want to fit in. Okay, this is what adults do, and this is what you do. So this is normal. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no health risk. There's nothing involved. There's money. You're too young to do this. But that's the only reason you have. So, yeah, it is an escape. It is a search for a piece of an identity, of being something or someone, of being seen or accepted. I started drinking at age 11. So that's about standard 4. Klomp laities, stout gatte, the guys, that's the rebels. After school, we went to this one friend's house. He stole his opa's brandy out the cupboard. Like a whole bottle of Cape Oak brandy, a liter. We were 3 11-year-olds. We went down to the Vaal River and we drank it. That was the worst BMX bicycle trip of my life. Going back home. Hey. So, yeah, my first time drunk was at 11. And I'm not talking about a little bit tipsy. I'm talking about paralytic drunk. I had to sleep on the sidewalk before I could drive home with my BMX that afternoon. So that was also to escape and to rebel. And because this is what you see on the daily. This is what people do. People smoke, people drink, people fight. That's what life is.
Yes.
There's no other examples you have around you. So you become complacent to that lifestyle. You become it. Because you don't know better.
Don't know better.
Exactly. So at age 11, when a child at that age starts drinking, what do you think happens to the mind, to the psyche? Alcohol is a very dangerous drug for adults, never mind kids. Now the next level, what do you get? You're underage, you can't sommer koop dope anytime. You're even struggling to koop cigarettes because you koop het die hele tyd veel pa. You weet. So we started sniffing glue, benzene, paint stripper, paint thinners, whatever had a fume, we huffed that shit. Topics, whatever we could find. If it smelled funky, we huffed it.
Wow.
Days on end. Days on end. Like we at, how can I say, standard 4, standard 5, we started bunking school to sniff glue. You get on the school bus, you go to school, you get off the school bus, but you don't go to class. You go to the veld. We had a place like this old ruin, it was called the Withuisie. And we'd hang out there the whole day. I don't know how the freaking hell we managed to get back on time at school and get the bus to go back home, because jy was weg. You were seeing very funny things.
Oh my goodness.
That is very strong substances. People think because it's 8 rand glue or DIY store benzene, it's not as harmful. It's sometimes almost worse than some of the hard drugs you can get. It's really detrimental. It butters up your brain, especially at that age. It clouds your judgment. It becomes a crutch, because now when you get confronted with a situation where you have to make a hard life decision, I'm lacking an explanation now, but when you have to choose between 2 sides, and you need sober thoughts in a young age, saying what is right and what is wrong. If you have a clouded mind, you're going to start creating a false reality of what is right or what is wrong. And you're going to go into adulthood with that reality before you realize that it's wrong. And then it's going to take you some time of therapy before realizing that actually those years ago, that goeters is what's causing the problems now. That is what what is preventing me from taking part in normal society on a normal psychological level with interacting with people and so forth, because they grew up in a different world, literally.
Correct.
They had to cope with other things. They were still kids where you were surviving, literally. So things get
So
messed up.
in essence, Willem, sorry, these substances, whatever they may be, they steal your childhood.
Yes, they steal your whole life completely. They steal not only in the moment, they steal the future of your life. Because remember now, you are now at this young age instilling these thoughts, these patterns, this way of living, this version of reality of what is right and wrong. But it's
Yes.
clouded and it's wrong. So you live that. You don't know that this is not right. This is not the way the world is functioning. And then only later, when you start having problems at your workplace or with authority figures, when it starts mattering, not that you didn't do your homework and you're going to get a couple of shots. When it comes down to your job or your rent or your whatever, that's where you start to realize the impact these things have in your life. You know, that's where it starts affecting you. And even years after not being an addict anymore, I'm still fixing those things on the daily. You know,
On
the
a
one
daily
thing that is essential or key to me on the daily, it's one day at a time. You can only handle that. You can only handle one day at a time. And you should only handle one day at a time. Because if you're going to start overwhelming yourself with a recovering mind, you're going to give yourself an excuse to fall back. Because it's going to become too big, it's going to become too scary. So focus on today only.
I've heard the expression from 1 hour to the next.
You can even go from a minute to the next, one moment to the next. Not everyone starts at the same place. For me, literally right there at the end when I was deurgewerk, it was second to second. It was just hanging on minute by minute, just begging God, begging yourself. Agony, full on agony. You know, it really sucks. Jy het al hierdie cravings binne jou. Dan as gevolg van dit, you start getting angry now. And then you become resentful, and then you become blameful, and then you become, and it's all going on at the same time.
Yes.
And now you don't have those crutches that you've had from childhood, those substances, those things that used to calm that mind. Now you have to deal with them. Now you have to try and figure out this emotion or this thing that I'm feeling. How, with a sober mind and an adult body, do others handle this? Why am I not able to cope with this simple thing the same way others did?
Yes.
So, in essence, you're still learning childhood things as an adult, because now only you are sober. Now only you have the cognizance to be able to think it clearly, think it through clearly, and act upon those thoughts. Before you didn't have your own mind. You were lost. So whatever you did was anyways just second to second, and you forgot it instantly. Now it takes me about 2-3 days. You know, the memory will forever be dodgy. Short-term memory loss is a big thing for recovering addicts. It's one of the major fights we have. But it's a reality, and you have to deal with it, and you have to accept that. You know, it gets frustrating to me to continuously have to write everything down, to every 5 minutes forget what you're looking for, forget what you're doing. It's a constant everyday battle, and I will never escape that. It becomes better with time. It becomes less frequent and so on, but it will never be 100% healed. It will never be what it was before.
So Willem, between 8 and 11, you start smoking cigarettes, and then you progress to the glue and the terps. Or was it terps that you said?
Glue, terps, benzene, paint stripper, like I say, if jy ry 'n fume, wat het jy? Ek snyf hom nou. Bring hom hier.
And where did you progress to, and at what age?
Okay, this was now standard 5. That makes you about 13, 14.
Yeah.
Around about there. So when I went to high school, I didn't go to the same town. I went to Potchefstroom. I had a whole game plan going on and whatever. Hotel school. I wanted to become like a cook or a chef or I don't know what the hell I wanted to do, because actually my brother was overseas. He was an island, and he was working in the hotels there. So the ultimate game plan. The thinking behind the thing was, if I go to a TEL school and he's still there by the time I matriculate, I'd be able to go over and also start working in the hotel industry and such forth. Yeah, didn't work that way. But anyways, so leaving the farm, leaving Parijs, leaving the town, the klein plaasdorpie, and going to Potchefstroom. Now, Potchefstroom is full of students, it's full of dop, it's full of party, it's full of life. It's for a klein ouetjie van die Vrystaat, it's Vegas, baby. It's Vegas. Jy is nou, wow, what the hell gaan hier aan? This is awesome. And then it's party time because now you're free. Now you're in the hostel. There's no parents, there's only teachers. And they don't know you from a bar of soap. You're fresh there. So jy kan uitslip, jy kan sneak because they don't know you. They don't know what's going on. Hulle weet nie, hulle het 'n klein criminal in their midst nie. They just see this little innocent face because I didn't always have the beard. I used to be pretty once at a time, I don't know. But yeah, they always believed me for some sort of reason. I had this innocent face and just the way. Until they didn't believe me and they saw the little evil bugger I used to be, and then it all went tits up. But anyway. Did you suffer depression? Yes, obviously I did. Of course I did. 10 times, tenfold depression. From before I even knew I had depression, I was suffering from depression because as gevolg van die verwarring, due to the confusion of life at that stage, you always feel inadequate. You're always having to hide your personal feelings and views because that's wrong. You know, you get scolded for those things. So you're always hiding yourself. And if you're continuously having to hide yourself and put yourself second, subconsciously you start wondering, why? When do I matter? Why am I here? What's going on here? Hoekom moet ek altyd seer hê? Hoekom mag ek nie ook 'n bietjie kry wat daai mense het? En al daai dinge. So those thoughts start popping up and then you start developing depression from a young age because you lost. No, I always felt like I was running. Hierdie butterfly het daarom maar. Yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah, you feel it butterfly. You get it. Jy weet jou hart is altyd in jou keel. It's like that's full on anxiety all the time. All the time you're living in this world of anxiety
and the paranoia.
And paranoia, yes, because that's what dictates your life now. You have to see where all these threats are coming from all sides, and you have to actively, as they're coming in, overthink them so you can think on every topic, every scenario that might come out of it so you can handle it and channel it towards good energy instead of a fight or instead of negative things. So it becomes a mental washing machine of pain and depression. Yes, dark. You weet nie, why the hell am I here? Why am I supposed to suffer like this? And you're young and everyone thinks because you're young, jy's nog happy. Wat weet hy van die lewe? Ag man, hy's alright. Whatever, you know. So that's the vibe you're living in at that stage.
Willem, can I ask you, what does it feel like to be high?
On what? It's different highs.
Tell me. Glue and benzene and that. What is that?
Okay, those are the big ones. Okay, smoking cigarettes. It's also a klein bietjie van 'n high. It increases your heart rate, increases your breathing rate, gives you kind of like hypothermia, gives you a little bit of an adrenaline spike because all of these things are increasing. So you become more, yes, meer aan, you're more alert, you're more there, verstaan. Okay, so at a young age, it's like drinking a whole tin of Rick coffee at once. Verstaan? So it heightens you and it makes you, it's just a cigarette, yeah. For a 30-year-old man like me now, it's just a cigarette. But for an 8-year-old, that thing is like 10 Red Bulls or something. It buggers up the whole system. Okay, so that's what cigarettes feels like at that age. Now, it probably has the same effect, but you don't feel it as much anymore because you're used to it by now. Then drinking, I think the majority of the world knows what it feels to be like to be drunk. If anyone in the comments don't know, ask me. But yeah, when you get drunk, you lose control, you feel free, initially you feel happy. That how can I say, that tipsy phase, that tingly, happy, you feel light, you feel quirky, you feel chirpy, you feel, man, sommer net lekker, né? And then from there, you start becoming, I mean, now you've won an Ransack, and one's going on me, and now I'm getting nauseous. And, especially when it's the first couple of times you're getting drunk, you're getting all this vertigo. But you're cool. You can stand here and you're thundering here behind the rugby field, maar jy's vrek cool, my bro. That's the way to go. And that's the way you live. Always be prepared for the worst. Yes, plan for the worst.
I've heard that with the big stuff, the heroin and that kind of thing, that there is never a high. Thank you. Never a high like the first high,
You
but
never get that first.
you always chase that high again, but you never obtain it ever again.
To me, I can relate, and I can say that's 100% true. When we get to age 13 with the glue sniffing and the benzene and those things are a lot like psychedelics, like your mushrooms and your LSD and those things. They take you, so the things I've seen when I was high like that, it's really, that's a psychedelic trip. Very much, very much. You hallucinate, you see things. I was on conveyor belts. I had one very bad hallucination. We were sneaky like this, we would, after school finished and all the extracurricular activities at the school was done, and the school was basically empty for the afternoon, we'd go back to the school and sit in half glue in the middle of the courtyard, because no one's at school, and no one's going to think that kids are sitting there doing stuff to dinner. So we'd sit there and sniff. Anyway, so we were chilling in the garden, huffing, and I remember this till this day. It was terrifying. Is the high that I had in the high, I woke up and I had this massive laceration on my stomach, and I was just trying to push all my intestines back into my body. It was all just lying on my lap. And you don't know you're high at the time, so that's another level of trauma. You physically think you're dying, and you're pushing your intestines back into your body, and everyone's laughing around you because they're also high. So it feels like they're laughing at you because you're dying, and that just creates a whole other level of trauma that you didn't even need in the first place, because it wasn't actually real. But now your body perceives this as real. It doesn't know you're high or you're sober. It just sees this threatening situation, and the chemicals act. The fight or flight kicks in.
Yes.
And traumatic memories causes, how can I say, lifestyle skills. It causes your coping mechanisms. It causes you to build a wall or fear something or whatever, and so forth. So doing those things just adds to the trauma that you're trying to avoid, actually. You're avoiding it in the moment, but you're building every time another traumatic event that you also now have to get over. So it's a moose chain reaction or a loop that you get stuck in, because you did this, now you caused that, and now you have to escape that again, and you're just stuck in that continuous cycle of having to use to escape, and then causing another problem that you also have to escape from now, and then that just accumulates over the years, and in the beginning, your sorry still counts, and people still believe. And when you get to the end, people don't even answer the phone. They don't even think. Can you blame them?
No.
No. Because while you're at the peak of your addiction, you lie, you cheat, you steal, you do a lot of bad things. You do things you shouldn't be doing. And to be honest, at that point or stage of an addiction, and I don't want to blame shift, or the addict is always responsible for his actions, no matter where they came from or what happens. You as an adult, you are responsible for your actions and the way you think and the way you act. And just because you had trauma, you are not allowed to take that out on someone else and blame them for your history. Understand? So,
but it is a tough one, though, because I hear what you're saying. Accept responsibility. Yeah. However, you cannot deny the origins.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's where the line is blurred, because now in your mainstream treatment for addiction is you have to admit that you are powerless towards the addiction, and that you surrender, because you are with your life. You obviously do not have control of your finances, your thoughts, your work competence, all those things. So you have to surrender that. But in the same sense, now people are taking advantage of this, because now for years this guy's been the addict in the family or in the group, and he's always got the blame because he's in the Nesquik money now. Whatever goes wrong, we blame it on him because he's not going to remember that, and it's always his fault anyways because he's the junkie. So people start blaming stuff on you that wasn't necessarily your fault from the start. And you are so far gone, you just accept it. Bring it, maar, it's all right, yeah, whatever. It's fine. Ek is mos veel goed. Ek is die swart skaap. Ja, go ahead, mate. It's fine. And you just carry on with that. So, how can I say, the family start using addicts as scapegoats, just blaming them for everything. And it's een Mamoerse berg to climb back out of that hole that the family places you in. I'm not blaming the
Absolutely.
family, because they also, due to lack of knowledge and due to experience with these things, sometimes they don't know what they're doing, and they're just acting to protect themselves as well, you know? Yeah. That's why I advise any person who's got an addict in the family that they want to help. Don't just send that person for help. You yourself has to go for family counseling. You have to research. You have to invest in that person if you really want to help them. I can vouch for my brother in that sense. Is the day that I went to him and I told him, Broer, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I woke up the one morning and I was done. This was now after a lot of things. I nearly burnt myself down in a house and a lot of suicide attempts and klomp goeters, you know, but through it all, I was slim. Ek weet wat aangaan, I have control, don't you worry. I'm buggering everything up, but I've got control. Ek weet wat hier aangaan. Anyway. Anyway, so the one morning I phoned him and I just had that realization of, I'm going to die. If I don't take steps towards recovering or getting better now, I'm going to die. I didn't eat for weeks. I didn't sleep for weeks. It was done. Started having chest pains. I was lying in my bed looking at the roof, and it was like watching a movie with hallucinations and stuff going on. I was on almost everything at that stage. You know, that was weed, alcohol. Then when I say alcohol, I mean like 4 quarts of Black Label, and then we switch over to the clean whiskey out the bottle on top of all the cat you were doing, and all the Xanaxes and all the antidepressant medication on top of that. So imagine the chemical bomb you've got going on inside of your body for days and weeks on end. And then, and I'm not justifying the actions of addicts. I'm just saying the family needs to realize that when a person is that loaded on stuff and is that far gone, you cannot expect rational actions from this person. You cannot expect them to do what you would do. Think about it. Think about it. He's not there or she's not there. They are out of control. Even if they don't admit it, it is obvious. So stop blaming them because they are not acting as you want them to blame. Start assisting them and giving them the support and giving them the guidance to start acting that way, or give them the key or the freedom to at least come to you and speak to you about those things.
Yes.
I know that it's easier said than done, because there's a lot of addicts that, you know, you get guys that just don't want to change. They will keep on fighting forever. And I have friends like that since childhood, and I've tried multiple times and so on, but some people you just can't save, and it's very sad and it's very, very harsh. But some people don't want to change. Some people will forever be stuck in that loop. And it is very sad, but it is a reality that we have to face. We have to accept life as it is. We cannot just fantasize about it, right? Some people will never be saved because it's their choice. You can only be saved if you choose actively and surrender and say, I don't go fucked up. I get nie. I don't know what's going on. I need help, and I am willing to accept advice, even if I'm not happy with the situation of hearing all these things that I'm doing wrong. Because remember now, the addict always thinks he's right because he's got justifications to prove why. Because I've had all these things done to me, and that is why I'm not allowed to escape. That is why I'm not allowed to treat everyone like crap, because I've always been treated like crap. That is not fair. That is just flipping the switch and reversing what's been done to you to the others.
Yes, yes.
So you will not be able to be helped if you do not surrender and accept help and humble yourself in the fact that you, at that moment, I'm not saying for the rest of your life, but in that moment, you need to humble yourself, look up to the people who care, and be honest. Dankie, Alet. And be honest about what you're feeling, what you're thinking. And I know with family it's hard sometimes because, you know, it's years of stuff. It's sometimes family-related issues with parents and kids and a lot of things involved. So I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm speaking for me, like I always say. I'm just sharing my experience, but hopefully it helps someone. But,
absolutely,
you know, I just want us all to just for a second, because that time that I went for the help and the assistance, and that morning I drove to my brother's house and I Parked on the sidewalk. I told him I could see him, and I just passed out on the pocky. He found me there, and yeah, it was a long history from there. Anyways, now my brother's sitting there with this message of a klein boetie in front of him, and he doesn't know how to help. He's there, he cares, he loves, he wants to. He really, but he's lacking the skills, the experience,
Yes.
The way of. And where I take my hat off to my brother, and I will always love him and I will always respect him for that, is he went and he took the time and he phoned counselors and rehabs and doctors and psychiatrists and everyone to try and figure out how to help me. Instead of just blaming and pointing fingers and gooiing that shambok, he was like, okay, bro, ek hoor you. You admitted you done gone fucked up. I'm going to help you. Whatever it takes. And it took him weeks, months. And a lot of flack from a lot of people, like, hoekom worry jy so baie? Why are you investing in this person? Hy gaan jou weer drop. Hy gaan jou weer los. It's the how many times? Hoeveel keer moet jy jou kop stamp? And he was just like, it's my brother. I love him and I will assist him. And yeah, I'm getting all teared up now and everything. But yeah, for that I will always love him. And that is ultimately why I, in that moment, started to try and be better. Because at least someone believed in me. At least there was one. He was angry with me, yes. And he didn't make it a geheim, He was in my face angry with me. But he was still there for me.
Yes,
Remember, when someone fights with you or for you, they still care. When someone just stops completely ignoring you, you're off their radar, they've gone give up, it's larna. Winning that back is extremely hard. So just being there that morning, as lost as I was, and even the memory is all fuzzy and hazy, and wow, what a day that was. But anyways, the fact that he cared and he went and he educated himself in order to help me made me want to commit even more in recovering and being better and assisting him and assisting me. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I want to ask the families is, I know that some of these people might not have done half of what I did, and some of them might have done 1,000,000 times worse than what I've done. But it just takes that one person for a split second to believe in them and show them that they are not alone, because it all comes and roots from being alone, from being misunderstood, from being rejected. So actually all of this stuff is just acting out and trying to figure out life, because you were missing gaps because you were high the whole time, and all the stuff that you needed to learn, to encounter and progress in life, you forgot because you were high at that stage.
Yes. Willem, I want to ask you, I know that you went to rehab.
Yes.
Is it possible for an addict to recover at home, alone?
If you ask me stuff like, is it possible? I believe in God, and with Him, nothing is impossible. Nothing. If we believe, mustard seed, that's the name for a reason, isn't it? If we believe, anything is possible. But if we look at it from a realistic point of view, I believe that in the beginning, for the first couple of weeks or months, at least the first 21 days, that person has to be isolated, away from the family, because the family causes triggers in that person. Remember now, a lot of the stuff that he's trying to escape comes from the family. So now you're locking him up in a house with this person, expecting him to... It's prison, people. It's not going to help. It's not going to help. Sticking him into a mental facility and making him as high as a kite on legal drugs now, but he's still not there. And now you're sitting there with 2 hours, how can I say, therapy sessions, but the own is high. Ek sit daar en vlieg, ek tel die spots op die ceiling, bro, whatever, jy praat, I'm having fun, yeah, wee. You understand? You're not gonna save someone like that. I understand that some patients are, how can I say, volatile, violent, angry, aggressive. You have to calm them down, and you have to get that, how can I say, that peace of mind in them. But once you've calmed this person down, as long as it might take whatever, and you get a stable mind kind of going on, that's when you can start working the therapy. You can't speak to a high person, tell him sensible thoughts, and expect him to remember and act this out tomorrow and implement it in his life like that. You know,
Willem,
people think that addiction is a switch. It's not. We know
no.
that while we're doing it, we're killing ourselves, we're killing our families, we regret it every time you take that substance or whatever you're doing. In that moment, you know it, but you cannot control it. It's a uncontrollable emotion, and it takes years or a lot of support and therapy and things to physically break that, especially when it comes from your childhood days where your foundation was built, because now your foundation is built upon a lie or a broken or warped sense of reality, and you have to break that foundation down, and now I have to rebuild a whole new thing, which means now in your adult life you are rebuilding new boundaries, new types of personalities, unmasking certain things that you would have never have said in public, but now you're just being you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now certain people in your life were used to blaming you, were used to you being that, fitting in that box or doing that thing or whatever, and now you're this new person with new boundaries and you don't fit into their version of reality anymore, and then funny enough they start to retaliate. They wanted you to be better, now you're better, and now you're doing it. Sorry for my
That's also not right. Willem, how painful is detox?
Well, that depends on the substance and the time that you've been on it, and also the amount. Like I say, every patient, every person is a custom job. All of us grew up in our own realities. All of us had our own unique experiences and situations, and all of us have our own bodies, our own DNA setup. So substances hit all of us different. Might be generally the same, but it one person will prefer cat over cocaine. One person will prefer drinking over weed. That's what I mean, is we all have a differences.
Yeah.
So recovering from crystal meth, in example, which is a very addictive thing, is harder than recovering from something light, like, and I'm saying light now, and the haters are going to moor me, but so it's lack of better words. But anyways, lighter things like your weed or something that doesn't make you completely chaotic or full on out of it. Like being high on weed, jy's net zen, bro. Jy's rustig, you're chilling, you're blom, jy's lazy, you don't have time for what. Where if you take crystal meth, you're up and down, you're folding your laundry 3 times a day, and then you wash it somewhere again, and then you sweeping the grass with the broom. Jy's besig. I had a friend who just the one day for the whole freaking day sat and dug a hole with his hand. He just got stuck there, and we just sat at him watching him digging the hole. Die hele bloody dag.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah, it steals your life, doesn't it?
It does. I wanna I wanna ask you about the pain, the physical pain involved. Where is it in different parts of your body? Is it contained to one part? The withdrawal
Okay, once
symptoms.
again, we have to look at the specific substance. I would say one of the hardest substances to come over, and the one with the most harsh side effects. It's visible, it's life-threatening, and it's not an easy weaning process. It's not just like a goeie cold turkey, just put the bottle down.
Yeah.
Alcoholics, that is, coming down from that is not only painful, it's terrifying. You think you're dying. You feel like you're dying. You're shivering like this uncontrollably. You cannot talk. You're sweating profusely. Your gut feels like it's all like crunched up in a, those things that crush cars? Feels like that. You got a crashing headache. You're so tired you cannot think. And when I say you cannot think, you do not have the mental capacity to stitch a sentence together. So yes, alcohol is physically and mentally agonizing and terrifying.
So
That
it's in
is,
the insides, your stomach.
yeah, it's like it's cringing, it's cramping, it's terrible. If you have diarrhea, you're vomiting, you're nauseous, you're sweating, you're dehydrating, you physically shaking uncontrollably. You can't sleep because of these things. So without medical assistance, if you just cold turkey a full-on alcoholic, you will kill him. You can't just tell him, put down the bottle tomorrow and gaan aan. Cold turkey is going to kill that person. He needs to go to a medical facility where they can wean him down properly. You will kill that person.
Okay, so here we've got a
For how
relevant.
long is that pain? It depends once again from person to person and the amount of substances that you've taken. But alcohol can take, for the initial shock to the body, I would say it could take up to a week for that person just to get over those initial, you know, weaning off of the product. And then from your second week, so on. And this is not, I can't quote this or whatever. This is just from my visual experience, what I've seen and experienced. Is from the second week, so on. Then they start to, how can I say, come back to reality, realizing, oh, fuck, ek is bietjie nugter now and it's painful out here. Why is everything so bright? Stop screaming at me. What the hell are you saying? Los my uit. Do you have a cigarette? You know, that's where you are then. You're not cognitive yet in, why did I do this? How did I end up here? Hoekom, what? You just, it's like you're just awakening for the first time in a very long time. And you're extremely groggy. It's painful, and it can last for days. Then when you get to your other substances like your cat. Cat is a very big thing in South Africa. The poor man's coke. That you can cold turkey in 2-3 days. You can cold turkey someone on that. It won't do anything. It's not. The way I was taught and what I learned and is that cat is more of a mental addiction than a physical addiction. Do you guys know that there's a difference between addictions? You get the medical and the physical, or the mental and the physical addiction. So your alcohol and your methamphetamines and stimulants, those become physical addictions like nicotine and alcohol. So that's why you can't just immediately wean them off, because you will kill them. But stuff like cat and weed and so on, that's more of a mental addiction. You think you need it because you've built that mental pathway over the years. You've learned how to function with this crutch. Okay, so now I feel bad, ek slat is op. Now I feel lonely, ek slat is op. So anytime you feel discomfort, this calms you down and this takes you out of that uncomfortable reality and puts you in a comfort zone. Verstaan? So now if you take it away, yes, the person's going to be uncomfortable, but his physical health is not going to be threatened. He's not going to be shaking like a leaf and going through the same kind of physical painful withdrawals as you would get with heroin or alcohol or those things. That becomes a physical painful thing in a life-threatening scenario, where cat and those things and weed and so on, you can cold turkey the person and it becomes a whole mental show. The person won't die, and actually within 2 days you can have the person rehydrated, well fed, well rested, and much better, where it would take an alcoholic, I think a week or two to get to that same mental process. So yeah, it's kind of a hard question to answer because there's a lot of substances and they'll treat you differently.
And they're all different.
Yes, and then as well, you build up a tolerance over the years of abuse. So some people, they would have just started, so it would be easier for them. Their body's not so demandingly reliant or afhankelijk van dit. Where others who has got years of abuse, it's like ingrained in them. It's like part of them. So getting that out is not just removing the substance; it's removing the mentality and the crutch and the escape of what that substance created for that person, the escape it caused, the coping mechanism it created. Because some people get nervous and they take Xanax or whatever they want, and it chills them out. But we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to numb our feelings just so we can encounter the world. We have to go into the world with our raw feelings and learn those coping mechanisms so we can function at any time, at any given place, without being dependent on something. We're not cell phones that need charging.
Now, if you were to look, I'm not trying to pinpoint and blame, but there was an origin. And this is where I want to get you tonight is, unfortunately, the parents have to take some responsibility. If your heart was met as a child, do you think it is possible? Do you think it is possible, perhaps, that you would not have gone that route? If you
just repeat the beginning of the question, Doctor. If my heart was what?
If your heart was met, if your heart was heard, way back when you went to Cape Town and the whole stepmother thing, because you
Yeah.
weren't welcome there, and then you had experienced the bullying. People who watched last night,
If someone
it's
took time, invested, and noticed me at that young age and started intervening and, how can I say, sculpting the young mind in the positive direction of, you know, having a gifted mind, you should find out what intrigues this guy. I should have been an engineer for that, because that
yes,
is what killed me. Ek is mal oor
yes,
daai. When it comes to building and fixing stuff, I love it. I get excited even just talking about it. But if at a young age someone had recognized, and they did recognize, but they just didn't give no damns, and they would have started investing you and pushing you towards your likes and that's what you should do with your child, isn't it? Be interested in what they like and where you see their strong points and you see their weak points, and you start channeling their life in towards their strong points, and you start educating them on their weak points, giving them those coping mechanisms to deal with those things later on in life. A lot of people these days, because we're stuck on this happy mentality that the bloody media is giving us, we're not supposed to be happy all the time. We are not. We are not supposed to be smiling and giggling and just carefree 24/7. It's not going to help.
no, it's
It,
not.
it, it,
Because
that
the
is not
whole
life.
thing is that
That is a fantasy.
it is a fantasy. People truly need to understand that, and I think this is a problem where parents often think of their children like animals or some, they don't realize that this is a little person who's going to grow up.
You're
You
creating an
understand?
adult.
You are creating an adult. And what kind of adult are you creating when you deny the heart? Wait,
Exactly.
the Afrikaans people have this thing. Kinders moet gesien en
Gesien
nie
word nie.
gehoor word.
Kinders word gehoor en nie gesien nie.
Daar sê, and that is a big problem, and that is where you learn to suppress anger, to suppress pain, but where does it come out? It comes out somewhere.
It does. It does. It comes out in your daily life. It starts coming out in your relationships. And it starts coming out in your work environment. And it starts affecting, in the beginning, little bits of your life, which it eventually becomes big fucking mountains that you have to climb because you ignore it in the beginning or you don't notice it in the beginning. And then you just, how could I say, enable or empower that broken thought or that broken pattern, and
Yes.
you make it stronger and you grow your life in that thing, and it becomes your identity in a way. And whatever, at the time, just smoking cigarettes, I was the coolest oak ever. It was such a part of my identity. I would die if I would have to go out without a cigarette, because what can I do?
Yeah,
It was such a
yes.
part of my identity. It wasn't smoking just for the effect of the smoking. It was smoking so others can see. It was smoking because it's cool. This is the Owen that's hy rook skelm, hy's die rebel. Daai ou is die een met kak en ja. He's the cool kid, Maar eintlik is jy nie die cool kid nie, maar it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
That's why it's so hard to break addiction. That's why, even though the substance that you're taking is wrong and the action that you're doing is wrong, it's so ingrained in your subconscious, and it's such a big part of your life. It's become a part of your identity. That's where the problem comes in of saying no. Ek sien die
Sure.
comments is vakker hierso.
There's a lot of information to take in. Can we answer questions, or will you answer questions now? Because I see here, for instance, let me just go back.
Ek is nou hier waar ek opgelet het. Sorry, Doc, maar ek syp al soos 'n vis vir 40 jaar from when I joined the police.
Exactly.
Uncle Thomas
Exactly.
daarso. I don't know. Ek kan nie onthou wat ek gesê het op die oomblik toe hy daai comment gemaak het nie. Hy het obviously geluister en toe nou gereply op iets wat ek gesê het.
Ek het vorentoe
As hy nou
opgaan.
net kan herinner, dan sal ek hom antwoord of help daar.
Hy het ook gesê, where do I start to stop drinking after 40 years? So perhaps Thomas is, whereas we do not counsel on this platform, but we do speak about specific topics. Thomas, if you need counseling, you are most free. You're welcome to get in the box with Willem if you like and ask him any question. But you are welcome to ask for him directly for counseling for aid in helping you to kick the habit, because he truly understands the pain because he's walked the road.
Yeah, my whole
So
aim in life and after recovery or during recovery, we are not ever fully recovered. You are continuously and forever a recovering addict, not a recovered one. You are continuously, daily, working on things and reworking things and reworking things. And as I said the other night, yeah, don't know net, yes, this thing, I've got it sorted. I've got it under the knee now. I think I've got it handled. And then tomorrow or 2 days later, you get a trigger and it's all back to square one.
back
So
to school.
you are continuously recovering and you will relapse.
Yes.
If you find an addict that has never relapsed in his life, he's either lying or he's severely lucky. Severely lucky.
I one of the ladies on the support group. So you will probably go onto the support group as well with the substance abuse. There's a lady who said there that I think she's been clean for 25 years. So it's
Wow.
not a Mickey Mouse clean. And she
Mm-hmm.
said that she had, okay, probably in December, she said this, a couple of months before December, she had a dream and she tasted the drugs in her mouth. But she's been clean
Those are the
all these.
worst. Oh, those kill you. Those kill you. I could somewhere hoendervleis. That is terrible. I feel her pain. You dream, especially in the first couple of months, sometimes to a year of recovery. You dream about like all your biggest wishes and dreams when it comes to drugs. Like it's like your subconscious is trying to smuggle you back into that. You'll dream that you have like buckets full of bags full of this shit, and you're so happy and you're so like exhilarated in the dream, and then you wake up with nothing, and all you have left is that big ass craving for that big chunk of stuff you just had in that dream. That drives you nuts. That is why you get phone calls at 2 in the morning, though.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it
That's the
doesn't
reason.
necessarily pertain to drugs. It pertains to any form of trauma because they might have had a dream at that night. They might have been abused at that time of night, which is causing flashes and stuff. So,
That's
die
it.
nag is besig.
And that's why we are the different kind of trauma, the different kind of counselors, because we realize in daytime, when you're at your job, you're fine. You're coping.
Yes,
At night, when you're alone in your shower and you're crying buckets full of tears, and there's no one on the other side of the line that
what do you think that is, doctor? That just popped into my mind just now in the back of my head. What do you think that is? Why, when we are alone, is it worse? Because
I
that's,
think.
you think.
Okay,
I
can
want
I
your,
say what I think? I think that for various reasons, whether it's substance or depression or ritualistic things, there's a certain hour between 2 and 4 that you will know because you're a former medic. They refer to it as the witching hour, and
that's exactly it.
that's the hour when the highest death rates occur. People die between 2 and 4, and
Exactly.
I think from a spiritual aspect, the attacks are just on, but
The
also
spiritual realm is at its most active at that time of the night. Hulle is besig daai tydjie because
yes,
everyone's guards down.
yes, yes,
Everyone's guards is down. Plus, everyone's sleeping, and dreams create portals or gateways or access. And jy het al gehoor, nothing good happens after 12. You
nothing.
know, if you are awake and alive and doing things at that time of the night, you should be wary and you should. Jy moet jou wapenrusting aansit as jy gaan uit van die nag. You have to pray to God. And you have to
It's
put
like
angels around your house, yourself, your family, your pets, everything.
everything.
But you will be attacked. And why those things come up when we are alone is because we can bullshit everyone, but we can't bullshit ourselves. We know that we're lying, even though it's easier to accept your own lies because you want to accept them.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no one easier to lie to than yourself because you want to believe the lie. It's the escape, it's the justification or whatever, né?
yes,
But when you're all alone and you know, there's no bullshit, I know I'm lying. I know this,
yeah.
I know that. And that's when the demons start attacking you and putting all those intrusive thoughts in your mind and making you feel worse about yourself because you know you're doing wrong. And they make you grind yourself. And then it just puts you back in the hole.
Willem, we did a live December, and then just prior to that, we started doing a live, and we went through the nights, and someone, I saw that she was here. She said to me, wat gaan ek doen wanneer julle lives ophou in die aand? And it's that interaction. Even if your counselor is not available to you, if you're on a support group, and that's why I was actually thinking of going live full time, because Mustard Seed Tree has a radio station. I don't know if you know this.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah. So we have pre-recorded. All the interviews that I've ever done goes onto the radio station. So this one will eventually also go onto the radio station. At least then people can listen and interact. So I've got ideas to sort of circumvent the 2 to 4
Witching hour.
problem, the witching hour problem, because one counselor cannot look after. I've made a limit, 20 counselees. That's it, because then you are already stretched very, very thin. Actually, it shouldn't get to 20. The Lord will send us more counselors. But what I'm trying to say is that at least we agree, and everybody agrees, nighttime is the worst time. That's when you need the support.
He's the king of darkness. That's his office hours.
Hy werk nie in die dag nie, hy werk in die nag. Hy werk by die
Hy
night
werk
shift.
in die dag ook. He's busy all the time. He's a 24-hour shift. He's very diligent at his job, believe me.
So jy sê daar is gewoonlik 'n onderliggende probleem vir alkoholisme. Hoop dit, yes. Wil jy hom antwoord, Willem?
Ja.
Onderliggende probleem.
Enige vorm van verslawing. Het sy dit nou van kos, pornografie, dwelms, alkohol, you name it. Gewoonlik is dit die simptoom van die probleem. Dit is net die uitlating as gevolg van die probleem. Dit is nie die probleem self nie. It's always rooted in something deeper and something that you will not know unless that person tells you. And
Yes.
sometimes they don't even know yet. They still have to go through therapy to kind of find out and figure it out for themselves. So that's why addiction is such a treacherous path. It's really hard. It's really painful. And if you do not have the correct support structure around you and people who really care, unconditional love, it's going to be hard. It's really going to be hard. But for those who don't have that, we are here. Tell me. I will unconditionally love you because I just do.
Ons het 5 substance abuse counselors. So ons het vir Willem, Hendrik, Sasha, Steyn en Daniel. Nou Daniel sê hy is nie meer baie lus vir die substance abuse nie, maar prys die Here, ons het 4 counselors wat substance abuse sterk is. Sien, hierdie man is sterk.
Groot plesier, Thomas. Groot plesier, enige tyd.
Want hy die pad geloop. En dit maak die verskil. Is hy weet
Ek loop hom nog steeds, korreksie dok. Ek loop hom daagliks nog steeds. Ek is nie all knowing and all wise and all figured out nie. Ek het nog steeds my flaws en ek werk daagliks aan hulle. It's a never ending battle. It becomes exhausting, but it has to become a lifestyle. Recovery is a lifestyle. It's not just a choice and a oornag quick fix.
Ja.
It's a commitment.
It's absolutely commitment, maar jy is die perfekte counselor vir iemand wat sukkel. So asseblief, as jy nodig het om uit te reik uit. As jy iemand ken wat hulp nodig het, asseblief reik uit. Laat ons 'n plan maak, want jy weet ons vra nie, ons charge nie vir counselling nie. Ons counsel gratis. Dis juist vir die ouens wat nie kan bekostig nie. En dit is hoekom ek gevra het, hoe doenbaar is dit by die huis? En ek weet iemand ek dink dit was Leon, iemand het gesê hy het alleen die pad gestap, maar dit was redelik vroeg gewees. Lank terug. Ek weet nie of daai persoon nog hierso is wat gesê het jy het recover op jou eie by die huis nie. So dis vir my wow. Dit is
Dit is
amazing.
amazing. Dit is rarig. Wow, dit is amazing. Soos ek sê, niks is onmoontlik nie en nie almal is dieselfde nie. Elke ou is 'n custom job. Elke ou en girl in hierdie wêreld is uniek geskape vir 'n rede. God didn't make us all the same. He doesn't want you to be the same as the guys.
Nee, en
But
dan 'n ander ding, Willem, wat ek net by wil inkom, waaroor jy gepraat het, is die support structure. Wat ek
very,
dink
very crucial.
is, as jy nie die, ek luister na Amy Winehouse se song, wat sy sê, sy het nie 70k om rehab toe te gaan nie. Jy weet, die woorde van die song. Nou dink ek, as jy nie die geld het vir rehab nie, as jy genuine nie die geld het nie, watter ander opsies het jy? Dan moet jy dit
In Suid-Afrika is dit baie sad. Daar is instansies, maar met my saam, my tyd toe ek nou surrender het en begin hulp soek en so aan, dit was ek wil amper sê 'n 3 maande lange journey om hulp te kry. Om regtig quality, consistent, effective hulp te kry. And it ended in we had to pay a lot of money. My rehab het R5,000 gekos. En ek moes my kar verkoop. So I won my life back by losing my vehicle. It wasn't a hard transaction, but you lose stuff. You lose a lot of stuff. Dit sit jy terug in die lewe.
Yes.
But free therapy in South Africa and people who really care about addicts is baie scarce. You end up in a hospital or in a ward or whatever, and you're just a number, you're just a file, you're just a docket, jy's maar net 'n report wat hulle invul. Doef, nog 'n junkie. Junkies, it's really hard to, and I say junkies, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anyone. That's not the right terminology. I'll call myself that in private. But anyways, to help the addicted people it's hard because every time it's a risk because you don't know which one's going to stick and which one's going to go.
As ons by die huis recover en ons support structure verstaan wat ons nodig het, is die kanse dat die addict kan herstel en dat miskien die hele gesin kan herstel, miskien beter.
Ja, dit is, maar wat die probleem is met the problem with recovering at home from my experience and from my point of view, it can work for people and it has worked for people before, but hulle is 'n bietjie scarce. It takes a certain kind of mind and a certain kind of family support structure to be able to do that. Because remember now, the addict is hiding from his family, all these shameful things that he's doing. And now he's been accustomed to lying to them and loopholing them and getting manipulation around them. And they have been manipulated by him or her for so long that they're going to constantly fall for this person's lies. Part of recovery is getting called on your bullshit. It's getting called to your chickens are coming to roost now. Jy moet nou kom sit en antwoord. En
Jy moet sit en antwoord.
Not the day that you pull him out, wait till he's sober and a bietjie wind it down. It's a hard process. It's a moes effect klap. Coming back to reality after years of abuse and now all of a sudden you're sober, you're groggy, you're steur mekaar, you're depressed, you're seer gemaak, you're scared because you have to, you're going to have to atone to all these things and you don't even know what you did. And it's a whole process. So I would say yes, it is possible, but it's going to take a really, really unique family or support group there to make it very effective.
Very effective. Don't you
and
think?
And the person is 100% going to have to be committed to surrendering and accepting that help.
Yes. Do you think, Willem, if we start working, if we compile a strategy where we counsel the family as well, so that they understand how it should work. And we are talking about people who do not have the money, who have no other recourse.
Yes.
If you can go to a rehab, awesome. But we are there for the people who have no other recourse. So
I get you.
Maybe
then it would be essential to train the family. You have to train them in, I don't know, we're going to have to set up a course or find a course or find some way or means of like doing what my brother did. He went and he invested time and energy and effort in trying to understand the addict's mind, where they come from, why they do what they do, how to help them and how to fix them. And if you get a scenario where even one person in that family, in that scenario, in that room or in that house is against what's happening there, it's gonna, how can I say, it's gonna have a negative impact on that procedure, because that person's gonna hoist spanners. He's not gonna. You need the addict or the recovering addict to know that he's loved, trusted, and in a safe space where he can admit to his sins or his things that he's done without reprimand, because that's what they're trying to avoid, is the reprimand of it.
Yes, that's very. So we must put together a thing that we can, that it's comprehensive, like you say, because
Yes,
else it will fail.
training the family is essential. It's like, okay, ek het dit hier geskryf, and this is also why I like this topic, is please don't take offense. Nee? I'm not calling people dogs, but it's like dog training. If you arrive at a house with a dog, weet julle al sies om al aan en daai dinge gekyk. He's not really training the dog how to not be a dog. He's training the people how to handle the dog.
The dog.
Okay, so take that analogy and put it into the family needs to learn how to handle the addict, because up to this point where it's out of control, they've either been enabling or triggering him.
Yes, yes.
So we have to train them how to train their addict.
And would you say, Willem, that that's such a, because this is now, if you take on one addict, you're going to take
Yeah.
on a husband, or let's say it's the husband that's an addict. He most probably has a wife, and he has parents, and he has children. So you're looking at
Colleague.
6 people, and he probably has siblings. Let's throw in 2 siblings. You are looking at 8 people. So you are looking at a family intervention here.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that might be overwhelming. If you, in my peak day, had to surround me with 8 people, whether they be family or not, you wouldn't have succeeded with me, eh? Because for me it was, and for most of them, it's kind of a shameful act. If you're going to put me in a room and make a whole spectacle of it, I'm going to climb into my shell and I'm going to hide away.
No. What I mean is, you're looking at an average or a minimum or roundabout figure of 8 people in the addict's life sphere that will have interaction with him or her, one-on-one or sometimes as a group. So if all 8 people can be trained up how to do this better, then
Yes.
not in a room, but they need to be trained up to know how to handle him. Because, say for instance, the wife says, "No, this is not happening," and then he runs to his mom, and mom says, "Yes." That's not working together.
They're all
That's
going to be on
working
the same page. And now
They all
remember, you've
have to
got
be.
8 people in that house. So I'm going to make an example of someone I know or whatever. So this person wanted to change. This person wanted, hy's klaar, hy's nog genoeg. But he had other siblings who wasn't klaar and had genoeg. And he
Yeah.
tried to recover at home, but these things were still happening around him, in his face, in the house. Whether they're not taking it right in front of his face, he can see, hey bro, jy's hoog en ek wil ook wees. Where'd you get the fix? So we have to make sure that the houses that these interventions and actions are taking place in are clean. Not just the
Yes.
addicts being blamed, but the ones around him, because a lot of them, oh, maar is nie onwettig om te drink nie. Ek mag drink, ek het nie die probleem nie. But
You
you're
see,
doing in front of this addict, jy taunt hom, jy torture him, you're not fucking helping.
you don't.
Ja, maar
And
ek gaan
that,
nie nou my lewe verander om hom te accommodate nie. Ons het nou al te lank met sy snert opgesit en wat. You understand? That's where it comes to. So the family has to be invested in wanting to help the person, and the person has to be invested into wanting to help themselves and be honest. And yeah, so it's going to be a very, we'll pray about it, Doc, we'll figure something out. So the Lord will find a way.
no, definitely. I'm thinking that for the setup that
Net so
we
time
are
now.
creating, that, and you must understand that we also have access to
Thank you,
Jane,
Butterfly.
who has natural medication, for the withdrawals. So God is really rigging us up. It's just that we've got to find a way, because we don't have a rehab. So we've got to find a way to help these people to really come free.
Yes.
Ciao, Butterfly. And so we're going to pull together
Be
a
blessed,
sister group.
Butterfly. Have an awesome night. I hope to see you soon, maybe tomorrow, on the
Yes,
box. Yeah,
yes.
or be part of the team. I want to see you on the MST group team. Yeah.
Please, please. But she's already counseling 5
No,
people.
5
So
people, eh? Yeah, yeah.
uh, you take care, Butterfly. I'm going to stop harassing you now. See, but still,
Yeah, sorry,
contact me.
Butterfly.
We did wanted you, man. But
Yeah,
but now that we did wanted you, somebody else that wanted you also. Now we can't have it you, and now we're
that's
very sad.
fine. We're still helping people as long as people are being saved and helped. I don't mind. At least
That's
she's
all.
coming in and supporting us every live. She's awesome.
She is, and that's really awesome, because I know when the live ends, she's going on duty.
Oh, okay. You see, that's how I do. I have a suspicion that this evening I might also be going on duty as soon as the live ends.
Yeah, I'm convinced that you will. So so we have like 3 minutes left. Does anybody else? The shits right before the shit go down. Yes, yeah.
Leon, cold turkey is altyd terrible. It's such a like a helse PK. Welcome back to reality. Dan voel sobriety soos dronk wees, nê. It's like people don't understand this. They think now the person puts down the substance, nou is hy mos nugter. Nou is hy mos reg. You've been living high for years. Now all of a sudden you're sober. It feels like being drunk. It's like being in a different world that you do not know how to manage. Jy is 'n monkey. Ja, eerste paar maande you figuring out life from scratch again.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as just
And,
putting it down and carrying on tomorrow like nothing ever happened. That
no, and then
annoys me from people that do not understand addiction. It's not a
we need
switch that you
break.
flip.
Yes, definitely. Guys, thank you so much for visiting with us. If
Thank you
if
guys.
there
Thank you.
if there's anybody, if you know of anybody who needs help, Liesel, my skattebol, ek het jou lanklaas gesien. Dankie, my skat. I beg your pardon. Thank you for the rose garden. Baie lief
Maar
vir
sê
hierdie
dankie
kind.
Liesel. Ek ken
Baie
jou nog nie almal nie. Ek leer nog almal 'n bietjie hier leer ken. Hier join Enrico vir you know hier aan die einde van die live. Welkom om baie te sê Enrico.
daar's
Kom kyk weer môre aan asseblief.
wat ek vir julle wil sê, asseblief ouens, moenie sit en wonder, wat gaan ek doen? Ek gaan nooit cope nie. Don't be there. Reach out. Al baie keer, dit vat ons 'n rukkie
Groot plesier Nicoline.
om full force in te kom. Partykeer is ons reg daar. Liesel, holy smoke girl.
Wow.
Jy,
It's amazing.
jy's 'n honey. Dankie my skattebol. Dankie my liefie. Baie dankie. Jy's 'n engel. Maar help, gaan ons vir jou help, hoor. En dan het ons die support groep. So daai tyd wat jou counselor besig is om iemand se lewe letterlik te red. Letterlik. So wanneer hy iemand se lifeline is en hy kan nie met jou gesels nie, het
Nee,
jy
Leon.
die support groep. So as jy kom vir counselling, kry jy 'n counselor en jy gaan op die support groep. So daar's altyd backup. You're not alone. En
Nee.
ek gaan 'n manier kry om hierdie verdomde radiostasie te speel 24/7 hier op TikTok, behalwe nou as ons so live is, sodat
Yes.
almal net 'n lifeline kan hê.
Yeah,
Lisa,
somewhere to be, just be part of something. You know, that's also why I wanted my sponsor to be in the meeting this evening or in the live. Hy obviously nou 'n bietjie gesukkel en het nou nog nie gefeature nie, maar ek dink hy sukkel met technical problems. Ek gaan vra dat ons hom môre aand, ek gaan kyk of ek hom môre deur die dag opgeset kan kry en laat hy inkom, want hy het baie waarde om te deel en baie value en baie experience en yeah, a lot of what I'm saying to you is I learned from him.
well, that's fantastic, because look, we in any case said, Willem, that you're going to be speaking from Monday to Wednesday, And then Thursday we have Dave Butler, Pastor Dave Butler, or Barber, sorry, Pastor Dave Barber. Also a mean gangster person turned
Nice.
drug addict,
Nice.
started a
My kind of
rehab center. So, we're dedicating this week to drugs. And the reason is because we've just passed the silly season. But let me tell you something. Some serious shit went down.
Easter's on the way.
We've got to do something. We've got to, people have got to be saved. And we just want you to know that we care. We are here. Yes, we are all over. Remember, we counsel online. So if you want Willem, dankie Liesel, my scuttable. If you want Willem and he sits in pit sonder water and you're in Eilands, Montkraal or wherever, doesn't matter. You can still get this chap because we counsel online. Dankie my scuttable. Thank you for the rose garden. Okay, so maak nie saak waar jy is nie. Ons is ons Mustard Seed Tree will be going worldwide, not just national. Now we are national, but we are going worldwide.
We're already worldwide, fighting in the spiritual realm every night, globally.
Every night. Daai klein Japanese, hy gaan daar sit, hy gaan sê, fong chong. Oh, Liesel! Last Christmas, you gave me your heart, and I'll never ever give it away. Thank you, Liesel. Dankie, Leon. Dankie baie.
Dankie julle, dankie baie.
Daar sê. So ons sien vir julle môre. Ons wil graag gehad het Willem het met ons gesels oor anti-rape tactics, maar dit lyk vir my die anti-rape gaan moet bietjie oorstaan, miskien tot
We'll get to that. Ek sal graag net eers hierdie deel wil klaarmaak. En dan begin ons met dan ken almal weet wat aangaan, die hele storie, it's all the introductions over and then we can just start focusing on helping people, I suppose.
On helping people. Ons lives is altyd van 8 tot 10. Want ons dink 8 uur het julle klaar geëet, of is dit te vroeg? Sê vir ons daar so 'n bietjie, wat dink julle is 'n regte tyd vir die lives? Wat pas julle?
Ek dink vir die werkende mense hou hulle van hierdie time slot, want hulle almal begin die tyd van die aand, nag sê hulle gaan nou slaap en môre te gaan werk, so ek dink die time slot werk vir hulle lekker, ek weet nie. Van my kant af. Ek weet nou nie wat hulle sê. Daar gooi Liesel hom weer. Dankie Liesel.
Thank you for the rose garden. Dankie my scuttable. Jy is awesome. Jy is so awesome. Liesel,
Thomas, ek wil van jou hoor, né?
Onthou jy daai radiostasie wat ek en daai een ranking begin speel het? Sê net gou-gou vir my hier in die comments of as jy boksie wil klim, sal jy dit graag soos elke aand deurnag wou hê? Jy weet online soos die hele aand.
Baie dankie Thomas.
Ek weet nie of jy onthou die een aand toe speel ek die radiostasie. Ja, asseblief. Awesome. I'm going to make it happen. Absoluut, sê Nicoline ook. Ag, dis reg, kinders is klaar in die bed. Leon.
Ja, ek sien dit is 'n lekker time slot.
I like that station. Sê Roxy ook. Thank you. I'm going to, you know what, Roxy? I'll probably, you and me and Willem somehow, because I do have 2 spare phones. So if we can do the radio station on one, but they're 2 crappy phones. That's my
also got a spare phone. Just got it kind of set up today.
Dankie Liesel, my scuttable. Dankie my hartjie. Jy's so dierbaar. Thank you for the rose garden. So binnekort gaan ons dan, as ons hier afgaan, gaan die radiostasie opkom en hy sal opbly tot 6 uur môreoggend in die oggend en dan hoop ek dit gaan party mense deurtrek.
Want Thomas, lekker slaap. Ek wil wel van hom hoor binnekort. Ons sal 'n bietjie gesels. Ek dink is 'n rare geboet. Ek sal dit geniet. So ons sal 'n bietjie kontak maak.
Ouens, sien julle môre aand 8 uur. Wilhelmina is weer op duty hierso vanaand langs ons.
Ek weet nie waar kom die Wilhelmina met hierdie wille baard vandaan nie, maar okay. Dalk is ek trans of something.
Ek moet jou siel 'n bietjie uittrek. Ek kan sien niemand anders trek jou siel uit nie.
Jy moet hom eers vind om hom uit te trek.
Julle, mooi bly. Who will be on the station? Roxy, it's all the interviews that I've ever done. So it's interviews with different people. Authors from Canada, a lady who survived narcissistic abuse from international people, local people. There's a lot on. So yeah, it's pre-recorded, obviously, like this live. That's why I get upset when people ask about when they derail the live, because as long as this live is, I've got to sit there and cut the video, cut all the crap out so that it can go onto the radio station and be a nice thing. You know, I'm trying to not make this live like laat ons die ma se kat roep nie. I don't want that. I want it to be dignified.
Om eerlik te wees, ek wou aan die einde van die live eintlik vir haar in die boksie gesit het. I'm very interested in what she has to say, but the empath and all daai goeters, ek wil 'n bietjie eintlik met haar gesels. So maybe tomorrow night we'll give her a box.
Yeah,
at the end of the live. At the end, we'll stop everything and be done, and then we give her an opportunity. So,
yeah, on 2 occasions I have, and on 2 occasions she insulted the guests like you.
Yeah, she insulted Hendrik. I saw that, but I'm not easily insulted, so bring it.
Donkey Liesel, thank you for the rose garden, donkey. But you know what the thing is, just then if you allow a person like that to hijack it, it becomes distasteful.
No, but that's why I say right at the end of the live, when we're done with everything we've done, then we have our chat with her. Then we hear what she has to say, because she's coming back all the time. Might be a cry.
Yeah, and she gave you a beautiful big heart, which is awesome.
Wow, genade.
Laugh at yourself, man. Verstaan jy? Just sit vir ons by die oë. Willem, dis op die website. As jy op ons website gaan, dan vind jy die radiostasie daar.
Alright.
Okay, maar ons gaan kyk of ons hom op TikTok kan bring, sodat baie mense wat in die nag sukkel om te slaap, toegang kan hê daartoe. Kyk nou hierdie Roxy, sy's baie fly. Top left. There we go.
That's Roxy for you.
Guys, have an awesome evening. Sleep well for all those who are going to be sleeping. And for the rest, sterkte broer.
Sterkte dok. Lekker aand. Geniet die battle. My God, lucky.
En jy ook?
Van julle, lekker slaap. Dankie vir die gifts. Dankie vir die deelname. Julle almal is awesome. Ons is super lief vir julle. May God bless and may you have an awesome night's rest. See you all on the morrow.
Amen. Amen. Love you lots like Jerry Tots. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.